Latest push from the European Union to ramp up censorship regulations in the name of fighting so-called disinformation. Frankly, what's happening in Brussels right now isn't just some bureaucratic shuffle. It's a fundamental battle over who gets to decide what's true, what's allowed, and ultimately who gets to speak online. The EU, led by figures like Oliver Rupke, president of the European Economic and Social Committee, is doubling down on its crusade against what it labels disinformation. They're not just talking about Russian bots or dodgy memes. No, this is about giving themselves sweeping new powers to regulate what you see, say, and share on the internet. And they're using the Digital Services Act, DSA for short, as their weapon of choice. Now, Rupke and his colleagues claim this is all about protecting democracy. How many times have we heard that? They say foreign actors, and crucially domestic ones too, are spreading coordinated misinformation campaigns, targeting vulnerable groups and eroding trust in democratic institutions. Sounds serious, doesn't it? But here's the rub. Their solution is anything but democratic. They want more regulation, more oversight, and more power to decide what's true and what's dangerous. And they want big tech to be their enforcers. Let's be really clear about this. The DSA isn't just about taking down a few fake news stories. As of July the 1st, 2025, the voluntary code of practice on disinformation becomes a legally binding part of the DSA. I mean, can you see a contradiction in terms there? I certainly can. That means that platforms like Facebook, X, YouTube, Google, and TikTok will be audited and held to account for how they handled so-called disinformation. Now, if they don't comply, what happens? Massive fines. Yep, you guessed it. This is being sold as a way to ensure structured debate and free debate based on facts and well-informed actors. But who gets to decide what's a fact? Who decides who is well-informed? Well, I'll tell you who. Unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, backed up by a handful of tech giants desperate to stay on the right side of the regulators. Rupke insists it's not about censoring opinions. Pull the other one, mate. If you're setting the rules for what's allowed, if you're threatening platforms with huge fines unless they toe the line, if you're demanding that AI tools be programmed to reflect your values and yours alone, what else is it but censorship? And don't think this is just about foreign meddling. No, the EU's own environment ministers are now blaming online misinformation for everything from climate policy pushback to public panic over blackouts. Well, sorry, they had every right to be panicked over the blackouts. The traffic lights went out, you couldn't get anything at the shops, the train stopped working. It was quite scary. Poland's environment minister, Paulina Henning-Kloska, said there's been a surge in targeted disinformation used for political purposes, very often by our political adversaries. Okay, so their answer? More tools, more regulation, more power for the European Commission to police online speech. Let's just pause for a second, shall we? This isn't just about stamping out these Russian trolls or stopping deep fake videos. This is about governments and supranational bodies deciding what's acceptable to say about energy, climate, gender, migration, you name it, the whole shebang. If you challenge their consensus, if you dare to ask those awkward questions, if you refuse to parrot the party line, you could be branded a threat to democracy. And once that happens, well, you're fair game for censorship, aren't you? We need to demand transparency and accountability. If platforms are being forced to police speech, we need to know how those decisions are being made, who's making them, and what standards they're using, and whether or not we can overturn them if we want to. No more shadowy fact checkers or anonymous trust and safety teams. If you're going to silence people, you better be prepared to justify it in public with evidence. Thirdly, we need to defend the principle that more speech, not less, is the answer to bad ideas. If someone's wrong, well, just debate them. Tell them, you might disagree with this. Fine, great. Have that debate, have that discussion. Maybe you'll change my mind. I don't think you will, but you can have a go. If someone's lying, then expose them. But don't hand over the power to decide what's true to a handful of bureaucrats and tech CEOs. And finally, we need courage. We need lots and lots of courage. Because make no mistake, the drive for censorship is only going to get stronger. The people pushing it are well organised, they're well funded. They're literally the governments in some cases. They are certainly utterly convinced of their own righteousness. They won't stop unless we make them. So I'll leave you with this. Do you want to live in a society where truth is decided by committee, where debate is policed by algorithms, and where dissent is a crime? Or do you want to live in a society where people are free to speak, to challenge, free to be wrong, free to offend, and free to be heard? Well, the choice is ours. But if we don't stand up now, well, we may not get another chance.